Hi, I'm Ricka Brandon, and I help building products companies solve their recruiting and retention challenges so they can hire with confidence every time. Today, I want to talk about one of the biggest hurdles that we are facing in the building products industry, and that's our aging workforce. When I saw the stats that fully 1 in 4 employees are within 10 years of retirement, it gave me a bit of a start. I knew that we had an aging workforce, but I hadn't had it made that clear to me how near that crisis truly was. And I work with a tremendous amount of privately held companies where we've got owners and family members that are nearing retirement. And it is complicated and hard to deal with somebody who's been a key employee in your business for a long time, let alone it's the owner. And I like to say, I feel like I get some of the interpersonal parts of this because I am the daughter of a fourth generation farmer and the sister of a fifth generation farmer. And my brother has been taking over for my dad for about 15 years. So I understand that there's a lot of emotions and feelings, and everybody wants to do what's best. And that can be really complicated. So I want to spend a little time today really just addressing how complicated it can be and how expensive it can be to replace some of those key leaders or key employees that have been with you for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, and in some cases 50 years. And really talk about how you can look at that and how you can start to take action so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And the first thing is really we want to make sure that those veteran employees, be it family members or not, know how valued and appreciated they are. They have done a ton of work. In many cases, the company grew drastically underneath them. And for them to pass it on, either through passing it on to their child, sell it, or leaving it in the capable hands of the next employee to do their job, requires a lot of trust on their part. And so, what we want to do is make sure we're recognizing and appreciating all of the value they've brought over the years, and then work with them closely so we understand how they can feel comfortable leaving. And that is something that isn't really said out loud, but I think it's an important psychological aspect of this process, and that is to ensure that they feel like the company or their position is going to be in good hands when they're gone. So what I encourage you to do is really have that conversation and say, hey, you know what? It's super awkward to talk about retirement and to think about having to replace you. But the reality is you have so much information in your head and you're handling so many roles right now that I'm terrified that if we don't start thinking about this years in advance, we're not going to be able to put ourselves in a position that you are confident that your stuff is handled and you're going to be able to retire without being stressed out or worrying about it. And so what I want to do is work with you to come up with a plan to make sure we're addressing your questions and concerns. And then we're creating a plan that will get them answered so you can go into retirement and feel so good about what's being left and how it's being handled. And in some cases, let's be real. If this is a key leader or a manager in the company and they've been doing many things for many decades, that is not a one person hire replacement. It probably isn't even their child's replacement. And another thing, just kind of as a side note on that, boomers are part of the culture where like the more you worked, the more value you had, the more invested you were. And that has changed in the next generations where working a 60 plus hour week isn't what people aspire to. Many people still do it, but people are looking to be more effective and efficient so they can balance their time with their family and with their career. It doesn't mean they're less driven. It just means that they want to have that aspect of balance in their life, especially when they have kids at home. So I want you to think about this. I want you to have that conversation with them and really start to think, what do we need to do to make sure we're prepared for that day that they're going to decide to retire? And frankly, I'm going to encourage you to do this because lots of times we don't actually get to the day that we decided to retire. Somebody gets sick, a family member decides to move to Florida, and all of a sudden they just need to be closer to those grandkids. There's a lot of reasons that things can go slightly awry near that retirement date. So I encourage you to take action now, even if it feels like it's 5, 7, 10 years away, because you want to be getting ahead of it and you want them involved in figuring out how to best replace them. All right. I hope this helps. Thanks so much.